All right, hello everyone, welcome to the channel, John here. Today I want to spend a little bit of time talking about the different cameras that I own, about why I own them, and why I have a variety of cameras instead of just one camera. And first I'd like to start off by saying that this isn't to show off or anything. Most of these cameras are older anyway. I've collected these over a number of years, and you certainly don't need to own a lot of different cameras to enjoy photography. For me, part of the hobby is also getting experience with different kinds of gear. I think that's enjoyable and fun. What's most important is to remember that cameras are tools, just like a hammer or a screwdriver or even an instrument. The point of the tool is to produce something, is to create something, is to use it. And so I don't treasure these pieces of equipment. I try not to abuse them, but I'm happy to sell them when they're no longer useful. I tend to trade cameras out, buy new ones, and sell old ones that I have, every 6 months to a year or so. It's fun to kind of keep the gear in rotation. More specifically, I have multiple cameras because I like to leave them set up for specific purposes. One camera might have a rig or a cage on it for video, and I don't want to have to remove that or deal with it when it comes time to go, shoot photos. One camera might have a specific lens I really enjoy just keeping in the car and shooting random snapshots with, and then I like to just keep that camera for that specific purpose. And while I could do all the things that I do probably with one more expensive camera body, I don't think I would enjoy that style of shooting as much. Like I said, I like the gear and I think it's fun, and I enjoy having a specialized piece of equipment for the kind of shooting, photography or video that I'm doing. So with that said, let's get rid of some of these here and get right into it. So the first camera I want to talk about today is this older Nikon. This is an N75. And I don't really even know that much about this camera. I bought this many years ago. It's a film camera, and I've been getting back into film a little bit lately and having a lot of fun shooting that. It's you don't have to just shoot film or just shoot digital. You can mix it up, do things that are fun. I enjoy the fact that when the shots come back from this camera, that's kind of it. I don't do a lot more with them. They're just it's the way that it used to be. And I think that's kind of nostalgic in a way, and I also like a look of the images. This is a cheap camera. So if you want to shoot full frame and you're interested in getting into film and you don't want to spend a lot of money, you can get something like this. It's not particularly well made. It's all plastic. I'll probably be switching this out in the near future, but they're very inexpensive. Something like this would probably go for, I don't know, I'm guessing $30 or $40 on eBay, maybe less. It wasn't an expensive camera even when I bought it many years ago. My sister found it in her basement and asked me if I wanted it back because I'd given it to her a long time ago. I said yes, and now I'm using it to shoot. There's not much else to say about it except that the controls are not very, I don't know, they're not wonderful. There's one command dial here on the back. There's no dial on the front. And I think it only goes to 1/2000th of a second. So, it's just a very basic piece of equipment, but it's fun to shoot. The next camera that I'd like to talk about is one I've shown on the channel before, and that is the LX100. This is a very small micro four thirds. You can see it fits in my hand here. There's not much to it, but it's a small micro four thirds camera, and it's for a compact camera that it's not quite pocketable, but it definitely fits in a jacket or a small backpack. The image quality on this thing is really pretty incredible. In fact, the lens that comes in this camera is maybe my favorite lens of all time. I love the images that this thing shoots. The resolving detail is really amazing. In fact, this is only a 12 megapixel sensor, and with this lens on it, when you look at the images, the detail is incredible, and you really feel like you're shooting with a higher resolution camera. It is not particularly good in low light, but usually when I'm traveling and doing travel photography, I don't shoot that much at night anyway, so that doesn't bother me too much. And if I really want to get some shots, I can always throw it on a tripod. It's not too big of a deal. Really, the major downfall with this kind of camera is the dust problem. The lens over time is prone to basically suck in dust onto the sensor. And I do have a few specs on this camera. I've had this for 4 years now, so I guess that's sort of understandable. I feel like it's given me a lot for what I paid for it. I may have it cleaned one day, but I'll probably just end up buying a newer version or something like that. I don't use it much for video, so it's actually not that big of a problem. The dust specks are easy to remove in Lightroom. It doesn't really bother me. And the thing maybe that I love most, aside from the lens on this camera, is the fantastic physical controls. I like having this shutter dial on the top and exposure compensation, and then also the aperture rate on the lens here. It's just, you know, it's a joy to use, and it takes beautiful images, and it fits in your, you know, coat pocket. For what it is, you know, I don't think you can beat it. So whenever I'm going on a trip somewhere, pretty much anywhere in the world, this is generally the camera that I take with me. Next, I want to talk about kind of the workhorse here, the Nikon D20070. I did a video on this very recently. It's a fantastic camera. Pretty much any time that I go out to just shoot images, this is the camera that I will usually bring with me. It does produce pretty good video quality. I just think it's a pain to use for video. I'm not going to talk much about that here. There's a lot of better options for that, and so I don't use it for that. But for, I don't know, $600 or $700 US dollars new, the image quality is incredible. It's heavy, it's a hefty camera. The controls are brilliant and simple and easy to use. I like having this secondary screen on here. I think it's very useful as well. Of course, it's, you know, it's Nikon F-mount. There's tons and tons of lenses. The time-lapse feature on this camera is excellent and works very well. And I've never really, you know, I've shot full frame, I've shot APS-C, I've shot micro four thirds. And this camera has never left me wanting for more image quality. It has never left me wanting for a more durable camera. I have really, it is, you know, the battery life is incredible. Optical viewfinders are great a lot of the time, you know, not all the time, but I do love the optical viewfinder, especially in bright sunlight. And when I have sunglasses on, it's very easy to see. So yeah, this is the primary camera that I'll shoot with if I'm just gonna, you know, get in my car and go out and take some photos. And you know, 24 megapixels, I believe this has, is in my experience more than enough resolution for me. I don't see myself needing more than that anytime in the near future. I had a Sony A7R that I've actually just sold, and I just didn't need that level of resolution. I'm very happy with this, and because I love using this camera, it tended to get just, you know, more of my time. So the last camera that I want to talk about is the Lumix G7. And this is a camera that I bought used, I think for around $400 US dollars a couple of years ago. This thing has paid for itself a few times over at this point. It's easy to use, it's simple, it's straightforward, it's affordable. Honestly, it's kind of plasticky and doesn't feel like it's built super well, but the image quality is very good. It's incredible. I've actually taken a fair amount of photos with this as well. You know, when I have it with me for video and I want to take some photos, I use it, and the photos are great. They're relatively sharp. 16 megapixels is a decent amount of resolution, and they look pretty good. You know, I shoot with this mostly for video in my office, so in kind of a studio-like setting. You know, there's no IBIS. That might not be the best thing if you're running around trying to film yourself or whatever. But with the flip screen and with it mounted on a tripod, I find it very intuitive and very handy and just a very affordable tool, you know, as I said before. In fact, I still think it's a pretty good buy for what it does. You can get these for a very small amount of money, and they produce incredible results. So that's it. I don't own a ton of different gear. Those are the tools and the cameras that I use basically every week. I love shooting with them. I'm sure I'll buy more cameras this year and maybe sell some of these. It's hard to say for sure. But I just wanted to take you on a tour through the camera stable, I guess. I hope you're well. What's most important is that you take the camera that you do have, whether that's your cell phone or a DSLR, and you get out there and you enjoy taking some images and improving your skills. We'll see you in the next video.